The Water Wars, Chapter 7. They cuffed us, then threw us in the back of a truck. Will tried to protest, but one of the men raised a revolver and silenced him. We headed north. Through the slats in the side of the truck, I could see orange and violet bands of light as the sun crossed the afternoon sky. The truck banged roughly along the road, and the bands kept shifting and blinding me. I nudged Will, but he ignored me. He had been silent since the pirates forced us into the truck, and my efforts to get him to talk failed. He had a bruise on one arm where a pirate had grabbed him roughly, and every now and then his hand went to the bruise, stroking it like a painful memory. Two men sat with us, their guns held tightly across their laps as if they thought one of us might make a run for it. But even if there were somewhere to run, leaping from the back of a speeding truck wasn't the first thing on my mind. The guns were big, the men were even bigger, and the helicopter was still overhead. I could tell Will was thinking about running. I wanted to tell him we were approaching the northern boundary and the Republic of Minnesota. Minnesota had once been loosely bound to the lower republics, but it declared its secession after the Great Panic, and the Army made no effort to stop it. Since then, it sold water to the other republics, but it stuck by its declaration and even sent troops to the border to prevent immigrants without proper documentation from sneaking through. I knew we were getting close to because the truck slowed and the road got rougher. From the angle of the sun, I knew the direction we were going and how long we had been driving. It all added up to a border crossing into a powerful republic. There was no way a convoy of pirates could get across the border, however, and I wondered what the men had planned. Will sensed it too because after hours of silence, he sat up straight and cocked his head as if he were listening intently. "Minnesota," I whispered to him. He nodded and turned to the pirates, speaking for the first time. "You'll never get across." The pirates seemed surprised to discover a real live boy in the back of the truck with them. One of them asked Will to repeat what he had said. "They'll stop you at the border. You don't have papers." "Don't you worry about the border," said the pirate. "We'll get through just fine." "I don't see how." "It's not for you to be worrying." "If they shoot us, I'll be worried." I couldn't believe Will was talking this way to a pirate. The pirate couldn't either. "For a boy who's a prisoner of pirates," he said, "you're pretty cheeky." Will shrugged. "I'm just saying if we all get killed, what good is kidnapping us?" "If we're all killed, what good is worrying about it?" The pirate snickered and slapped his companion on the back, and Will was quiet for a while. The truck continued to slow and the men grew more alert. I couldn't hear the helicopter anymore, and I guessed it had flown away so as not to get close to the border and risk being shot down. I didn't think Minnesota had an air force, but it definitely had air defenses, and it wouldn't let an unknown copter cross its skies. I heard the radio crackle in the front seat and some voices blurt forth in a different language. The driver responded, and there was some more crackling. The truck bumped loudly over a couple of barriers, and each time we landed hard on our rumps. Finally it slowed and then came to a complete stop. All was silent. The radio burst forth again in that strange language. The driver answered, and another voice joined in as well. Then more silence. I strained to hear something, and I could just make out boots crunching against gravel outside. I pressed my face to the truck's side, and I could hear the engine ticking as it cooled. More boots crunched, and a new voice called out. There was some muffled talking, and some more boots joined in. Then a hand grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and pulled me away from the side. "What's so interesting?" asked the pirate who had spoken to Will. He was large, bearded, and bald, and his arms were covered with tattoos. I shrugged. My ears burned. "You're wasting your time snooping," said the pirate. "You're going to buy your way across." The idea came to me in a flash. "You're a smart missy." How else did pirates move about so freely? They couldn't fight their way across because they were outnumbered. Plus all those boots outside meant people talking about something important. Money, water, or both. "But how do you know they won't shoot you once you're across?" I asked. "No, that would be stupid," I said, answering my own question. The pirate nodded. "We wash their hands, and they wash ours." "Is it illegal to steal water if they don't arrest you?" I asked. "Not if you pay them enough." The pirate smiled widely, big caps where his teeth should be. "Perhaps this is the way things worked out in the Shaker world. The rules only applied to people who couldn't afford different rules. If you had money, you had choices, like pirates crossing the border freely, or Kai not attending school, or the WABs drinking clean water. If you didn't, you had only chances. The talking stopped, and then the truck's engine growled to life. The other vehicles joined in, and soon we were moving. I could hear the helicopter overhead again. Where are you taking us? Only he knows for sure, the pirate said. He? Who? But the pirate was silent, and from the glare Will gave me, I knew it was best not to keep asking questions. We drove for another hour until the sun had completely set. My bottom ached and my neck was stiff and sore. Will had fallen asleep against my thigh. He woke up with a start when the truck honked loudly 3 times, followed by 2 short taps. After a moment, an air horn responded with the same sequence. The truck lurched forward, and the sound against the tires was smoother and quieter. After a few minutes, the truck slowed, then stopped again. Where are we? Sanctuary, said the pirate. The men hopped out of the back of the truck and left us inside. I could hear motors shutting down all around and men greeting each other loudly. I tried to stand, but the plastine cuffs the pirates had placed around my ankles made it impossible. I fell and started to cry. Will put one arm around me. Shh, he murmured, it's all right. They're going to kill us, I choked out. If they were going to kill us, they would have done it already. They would have left us by the side of the road instead of bringing us all the way up here. I had to admit it would have been easy enough to shoot us and leave us in the road. Pirates did it all the time. Then why are we here? I asked. I don't know. Let's wait and see. We must have something they want. I tried to imagine what the pirates might want, but I couldn't. We weren't rich, and we had no water. If the pirates hoped for a ransom, our father barely had enough money for our mother's medicine. He would give them everything, but it wouldn't be enough. Thinking about it only made me cry harder. Don't cry, Vera, said Will. He smoothed my hair against the side of my face, outlining a brown parenthesis against my cheek. I wish we were home. We will go home, I promise. I wish we had told the guard I'd rather be in jail than here. Will took a deep breath. We're hundreds of kilometers from Illinois. We'll have to see what the pirates have planned. We need to stay calm, watch, and wait. We'll have our chance. Of course Will was right, but I realized clearly for the first time how desperate our plight was. It had been foolish to think we could rescue Kai. Now, wherever he was, it couldn't be worse than being held captive by pirates. Even cannibals were more trustworthy. Before I could let my fears completely overwhelm me, the doors on the back of the truck burst open and 2 new pirates came inside. You too, said one of the men, as if there might be 2 other children in the back of the truck. Come with me. Will lifted a leg to show him it was cuffed. The pirate growled and stomped out. In a moment he returned with wire cutters. Worthless, he said. Then he snipped clean through our restraints. We tumbled out of the back of the truck and into a night lit by torches and halo lights. I blinked and nearly keeled over, but Will caught me. The pirate took me by the other arm and he marched us across a dirt lot toward a cinder block building. There were about a half-dozen trucks parked in a circle alongside some heavy machinery. The helicopter had landed nearby. Smoke still trailed from its exhaust and the blades spun lazily. Men watched as we crossed the lot. Dark men, disheveled and dirty. A dog barked and I instinctively gripped the pirate's hand and then let go. Although I was trembling inside, I made up my mind to refuse to let the pirate know. I held up my head and strode purposely forward. The man rapped once on a steel door at the front of the cinder block building. In a moment, the door opened and he pushed us inside. The dimly lit room was darker than the night, and my eyes were momentarily blind. I could make out a few candles and then soft fabrics hanging from the walls. Music played quietly, acoustic instruments from an earlier era. Even as my eyes adjusted, however, my brain could not. Curtains, candles, and music were the last things I expected from pirates, and they were a stark contrast from the concrete exterior. What kind of children walk the open road? Asked a deep voice from the shadows. We weren't walking, said Will. We had our petacycles. Didn't get you very far, did they? The voice belonged to a man about our father's age and height. He wore black boots, a gray sweatshirt, and black canvas pants that fit tightly at his waist. He had longish hair, a thick beard, and a tattoo of a small bird on the side of his neck. His nails were clean, and he wore a single yellow band on his left ring finger. His hands were stroking the fur on the heads of 2 golden brown dogs. I stepped back instinctively, but the dogs remained still. Are you going to kill us? I asked. Kill you? Why would I kill you? You kidnapped us. I haven't kidnapped you. We found you on the road. You would have starved to death if we hadn't picked you up. Is that why your men chased us and hunted us down? The pirate frowned and stopped petting the dogs. You ran from them. Because they were pirates. What do you know about pirates? I considered this question. Everything I knew about pirates I had learned in school. They were dangerous, lawless men who would do anything to steal water, including killing and maiming. But it was true that I had never met a real pirate and didn't know anyone who had. Pirates steal water, said Will, water that's meant for other people. The pirate laughed, deep and rich. His hair bounced on his shoulders like something alive. Governments steal water, he said, water that doesn't belong to them. Will stared at the pirate but didn't say anything else. Water belonged to whoever drilled or refined it, and pirates certainly did neither. They took the water collected through the hard work of others. So now what are you going to do with us? I asked. What should I do? Asked the pirate. Let us go. Can't do that, little sister. How will you get home? It's dangerous out there for children. Of course the pirate was right. There was nothing but rocks and sand between here and home. Even if we could get back across the border now, we could never walk hundreds of kilometers without water. And even if we could, bandits or coyotes would surely get to us. We were trapped with bad men in a foreign republic. I bit my lip to stop from crying again. We're not children, said Will, annoyed. I expected the pirate to laugh, as Shakers usually did when kids insisted they were grown up. But instead, he did something strange. He raised his head and looked off into the distance as if he could see something there. No, he said. Of course not. Will you let us go then? The pirate returned his gaze to Will, and then he did laugh. Do I look like a fool? Let you run straight to the army? We won't, we promise, said Will. A boy's promise, that's pretty. It's worth more than a pirate's. You have a lot to learn about pirates. I knew what Will was thinking. The farther we went, the harder it would be to get home. The harder it was to get home, the less likely we were to ever see our parents again. Traveling with pirates, no less. Who knew where or how far? 24 hours ago, we had a plan to rescue Kai. Now we needed rescuing. We're looking for a boy, said the pirate, about your age. A boy? Repeated Will. A boy and his father. A driller. I opened my mouth but quickly shut it. Kai, I thought. They're looking for Kai.